fear. I was sitting down yesterday thinking about fear. Why there's so many things that I wanted to do, that I had the intent to do, but I really couldn't push myself beyond a certain point. I couldn't go beyond a certain point. I couldn't do them the way I wanted to do them. Ignore the outside noise. I'm in the office. The window is open because I'm smoking and the place is getting choky. So it's going to be a bit odd. But this is just something short, sharp, and quick. Plus, we're testing out the new equipment. You know, as you've noticed, I've switched cameras twice. You can see me differently. Okay, so here goes. I'm going to read this. This thing that I wrote yesterday. You can read along. No biggie. Trying to see if I can make the fonts bigger. Here we go. All right. Fear. False evidence appearing real. Yeah, depending on if you want to use it as an acronym. So it goes. One's reality being dictated by imagination. Perceptions misguided by memory with compensatory intent. Done under the guise of preemptively protecting the self from harm unforeseen. It is deception whichever way you look at it. For in that moment, the emotion that results are an increasing amplified anxiety, which if left unchecked can promote actions that may appear precautionary, but are in fact actions that sabotage the opportunity to embrace benefits gained from awareness in the now. Deprived of growth in the expansion of one's consciousness because of the prevalence of anxiety. When you recognize danger, instead of anticipate with fear, you can react accordingly and perhaps more precisely. The mind suffers because it must, because it wants to experience suffering, so it justifies the existence of it. And so the body suffers along. Interesting. No fear is good. No fear is bad. But in terms of what value it adds to one's well-being, that depends on the intent of the soul of the mind. Kind of heavy though. It's kind of heavy. I don't know. Makes sense, perhaps. Or just, as I always say, the ramblings of the semi-insane. It's me going off on all kinds of tangents. See what I can find. The bowels of my mind. With fear. Is fear real? Is fear real? I mean, is it real? Because it's in the future. It's not now. I'm afraid of somebody opening that door without knocking while I'm shooting this video. That's in the future, and that is not definitive. It's not absolute. It's just a possibility. It is just a possibility. So fear ultimately is a possibility that doesn't really exist in the eternal now. It exists sometime in the future, and that future itself is subject to the focus of our mind. Is fear real? I don't know. Some people say fear is good. You use it as a motivational factor, as something to motivate you when you are about to overcome a situation that itself terrifies you. Tyson talks about fear. Mike Tyson, when he wants to box, he has to be afraid. I put him in the right frame of mind. It works. But then again, if I'm dealing with fear, if I'm living with fear, let me rephrase that. If I'm living with fear, and each and every day of my life, I'm afraid to do something because of an outcome that isn't certain to be. And that takes away from what I can bring to the rest of the world, because my creativity is necessary. Everybody's creativity is necessary. It's a contribution to the growth, evolution of human society. Everything you do has an impact. So no one can actually feel insignificant for any reason. So fear sometimes might affect that. But, like everything else, if you can find a constructive function for it, then I guess use it. But it is some kind of deception, because it doesn't exist. See, there was a question someone asked me. They said, why do you choose not to worry so much? I'm like, okay, what has passed is past. I can't change that. I'm not living in that reality. The reality I'm living in is the now. Everything actually exists in the now. The future of yesterday is the now of today. I can't dwell on yesterday because it's gone. I can only function, feel, express, communicate in the now. So this now is eternal. That's why I use the word eternal now. It just keeps going on and on. This is the now. So I'll meet the future in the now. And if I have a situation in the now and I need to deal with it, I deal with it in the now. If I spend my time worrying about something that I don't have to deal with yet, that I cannot conceive the process of dealing with it in the now, it's heavy, it kind of like weighs you down. And then emotionally you become unbalanced and you can't see what is actually happening in the now because you're too busy focusing on something that is yet to happen. I had a T-shirt once that said, if you face your past, you back your future. And it made sense, but it didn't emphasize on the fact that you had to live in the now because that's the only reality we know. This three-dimensional existence we have, we only know the now. There's nothing else. I don't know anything else, anywhere else where I function. My interaction with all the people that I interact with happens in the now. It doesn't happen in the future. I do not go to the future and then come back to the now. The now is the past, present, and the future all wrapped up in one. I experience everything that I experience here and now. And if fear transposes my consciousness to the future because of the will of my imagination, then fear takes me away from now consciousness. And that sort of like affects my ability to progress and grow in the now. This is strictly my own opinion. I'm sure everybody has this. But I don't know. I guess that's why I ended up saying, let me put this thing back on. I ended up saying this. If I can highlight it, I will. That that part. No fear is good, no fear is bad. Fear just is. But in terms of what value it adds to one's well-being, that depends on the intent of the soul of the mind. That depends on the intent of the soul of the mind. Well, it was bad.